We'll first ask Rabbi Hertz, Mord Asra, Congregation B'nai Ruvain, and the Chabad community of Chicago to lead us in Tehillim. You have copies in front of you. You can say in Hebrew or in English. We'll lead in Hebrew.
Mizmor David Adonai Roi Lo Echsar. B'nei Zdashe Yabitzeni Amei Menuches in Haleni. Nafshi Yeshoy V'yancheni V'maglitzedek L'man Shemoi. Gam Ke'elach V'geit Zalmoves. Lo Ira Ra Ki Atu Imodi. Shiftecha M'shantecha Hemi Nachmuni. Tarech L'fonai Shulcha Neged Seirai. Tishanta V'shem En Reishi Kaisi Revaya. Ach Toy V'chesed L'foni Kol Mechayai. V'shafti V'beis Adnei L'erech Yamim. Tfilah L'Moshe Ish Elohim Adonai Moin Ata Yisa Lama B'dar V'dar. V'terem Harim Yuladu V'techel Aretz V'sevim O'elam V'olam Ata El. Ta Shevene Shadaka V'toyme Shuvu V'nei Adam. Ki Elef Shadim V'necha. Ki Yem Esmal Ki Yavu V'shmur V'layla. Zeramtem Sheni Yi V'boike Chachatzu Yachaleif. V'boike Yatzes V'chalof L'erev Yimel V'yavish. Ki Chalina V'apecho V'chamaschan V'halnu. Shata V'neseinu L'ngdecha Alumein L'mar Panecha. Ki Chal Yamein Upon V'rasecha Kalina Shenei K'may Hege. Yemeish T'seinu B'hem Shivim Shana. V'megvurei Shmoinim Shana V'rachmo Amal V'aven. Ki Gaz Chish V'na'ufa. Mi Yedeya Oiz Apecha Chirascha Evrasecha. Limneis Yamein Kin Hoida V'novel V'av Chachma. Shuv Adonai Ad Masa V'nachma L'avadecha. Sabeinu V'boike Chazdecha Narna V'nischa Chal Yameinu. Samcheinu Ki Moisi L'sana. Shnoisru Ina Ra. Yera L'avadecha P'alecha V'adarcha B'neim. V'yineim Adonai Eloheinu Aleinu Masi Yadeinu Koina Aleinu. U'Masi Yadeinu Koina Neim. Shira Malas Adonai B'tzarasi Likarasi V'neini. Adonai Hetzila Nafshi Misfas Shekem L'Lashon Remiyah. Ma'yitin L'cha Ma Yosef L'ch L'Lashon Remiyah. Chitzei Gibar Shenunim Im Gachle Resamim. Oya Likigati Meshach Shechanti Im Ole Kedar. Rabbis Shachna La Nafshi Im Sayin Shalom. Ani Shalom V'chi Adaber Heim Olam Chama. Shila Malais Esein Al Harim Ma'anya V'Ezri. Ezri Im Adonai Oisei Shamayim V'Aretz. Al Yitin Ameit Reglecha Al Yanum Shemrecha. Hine La Yanum V'la Yishan Shoyme Yisrael. Adonai Shemrecha. Adonai Tzilcha Yad Minecha. Yom HaShemesh La Yakecha V'Yoreich B'Layla. Adonai Yishmorcha Mikol Ra Yishmor Es Nafshecha. Adonai Yishmor Tzeischa V'Yacha Me'at V'Adaylam.
During the month of Tishrei, we don't do Espedim, but we oftentimes share stories. And some of us are blessed sometimes to have very special friends. I'm going to ask one of Mendel's childhood friends, inseparable for my 10 years, Mendel Bakalenik, to share a few words.
There are many people here who knew Mendel, and I cannot tell every story, but this is a little few memories that I had of Mendel. Mendel was my best friend at a time that I had few friends. We were brothers, inseparable for a decade until we went off to separate yeshivas. A great deal of my childhood experiences involved Mendel, and our time together had a monumental impact on who I am today. I was a geeky child who with poorly developed social skills and a host of interesting quirks. I love to read and to think. But most of my peers did not understand or quite share my interest or personality. Mendel was one of the few who did. He was a ray of sunshine in my otherwise dreary and friendless life at the time, and our friendship was straight off of the silver screen. We paired up at every assignment and task. We studied together, we passed notes to each other, and we shared our lunches. Mendel was the first person I sought out every single day of Cheder, from the first day that I met him until the last day of school. After school days, I found myself in his bedroom more often than my own. We spent countless hours together, reading separately, simply enjoying each other's company. We spoke, philosophized, dreamed, and grew together. If I would have to sum up Mendel's perspective on life, I would paint a picture of a person who was constantly pushing boundaries. His intense desire to do more, to try something radical, to push past the confines of his mundane existence were an indispensable feature of his personality. He was immensely focused, and when he decided on a path, he could not be swayed. His will was iron. Not only did Mendel live to challenge himself, but he loved to push others to go beyond what they thought was possible. I can tell you stories about him getting me to squeeze through impossibly small windows and cave passages, to climb things that were way too tall, and to swim when I didn't know how to. He convinced me to try my first berry, a wild blackberry we picked together in Bus Lagani, which I quite enjoyed. Now I eat berries. Mendel attacked life fearlessly, and I tried desperately to keep up with his relentless pace. At nearly everything Mendel put his hand to, he far outperformed me. He was smarter, faster, stronger, taller, definitely taller, and wittier than I was. He was nearly instantly liked by anyone that he met, from chess street hustlers to students from different schools. He would introduce me to new people and help broaden my circle of friends. Mendel was unpretentious. He dressed casually and talked with people on their level despite his massive intellect. And he was never afraid of looking the fool. He found joy in the small things. Finding a mini orange inside his regular-sized orange would make his day. He liked to snack on chunks of purple cabbage with me and eat massive bowls of Rice Krispies with milk. As I reflect on our shared adventures and hear the many stories that other people have been sharing over the past few days, I'm struck by how much life that Mendel packed into his 24 short years. He lived, he laughed, he cried. He woke up on top of mountains and on farms. He woke up late and he woke up early. He has many people who call him friend. Each of us here knows the impact that Mendel has had on their life and has an indelible image of how Mendel appears to them. Was he laughing? Was he smiling? Did he have a mischievous twinkle in his eyes? Was he doing something you thought was impossible or reserved for the professionals? Mendel lived a massively complex and dynamic life, and he was just getting started. He showed no signs of slowing down his vicarious appetite for a colorful and storied journey. While it's above our ken to understand God's actions, I, for one, can say that Mendel's death has been a terrible blow and tremendous loss to his family, myself, and to all those who knew and loved him. Ben Zoma said, "Who is wise? He who learns from others." Mendel was ever learning. He said, "Who is rich? One who is satisfied with his lot." Mendel was unpretentious, happy, and grateful for the gifts that he had in this world. Ben Zoma asked, "Who is honorable? One who honors his fellows." Mendel never gloated over his achievements or lorded his abilities over others. He was humble in his achievements and raised me up together with many others, allowing us to achieve together with him. My honor was always protected and boosted by him. We all have our memories of Mendel. Forever, my favorite memories of Mendel Goldbloom will be the smile that lit up his face when he saw me, our extensive conversations where we helped each other understand this confusing life, in the quiet moments of shared friendship during long days in a sun-filled room. It was a pleasure and honor to call Mendel Goldbloom my friend.
We are gathered together in a halakha place, holy place. Halakha is usually translated as holy, but halakha means higher, unique, different. Not the norm, and definitely out of the ordinary. This funeral home is a halakha place because it is here that we gather to comfort each other and acknowledge our loved ones. We're gathered together in a time that's a halakha time. We're coming in the month of Tishrei, a month which begins with Rosh Hashanah, a day of reflection on the past. Yom Kippur, a day of commitment for the future. Sukkot, to remind us, no matter how secure we feel in our brick homes and our secured incomes, we are actually only protected by God and His Ananya Kavod, clouds of glory. We've just concluded Shmini Atzeres and Simchas Torah, a time dedicated to completing our Torah studies and starting over, because everything we need to know in life is in that scroll. We're gathered together to honor a neshama that's halak. Menachem Mendel was halak, separate, not the norm, and definitely out of the ordinary. Mendel was constantly learning, as Mendel said. He learned by observation. He learned by experimentation. He learned by reading obsessively. And he learned by pushing the limits in everything he did. His sixth grade Rebbe, Rabbi Shanowitz, referred to him as a genius among geniuses. When Mendel was about 13 years old, he took on a job of building an area of a fence around Bos Lagani, the family home in Wisconsin. Bos Lagani is 145 acres. But no one told Mendel he couldn't do it. And even if they did tell him, well, you know Mendel, that probably would make him more determined. He worked 12 hours a day on that fence for the longest of time, only stopping when he discovered about 40 ticks infesting his body. Mendel was halach, different from most of us. He constantly took on challenges and pushed his own limits. There was a time in Florida when Mendel and Yussel were out for a walk, and they came across a radio tower about 200 feet tall, protected by barbed wire. And Mendel said, that looks like it needs to be climbed. So Mendel got them both across the barbed wire, and he began climbing himself. There were rusty spots, there were some steps missing. The higher he went, the wind howled. But Mendel was not one to back down, and certainly not from his own challenges. It took about an hour, but he made it. When later asked, "Aren't you afraid of anything?" he said, "Yeah, heights." Mendel was halak, unique in pushing higher and farther than most of us. Mendel bought a unicycle. He practiced and he practiced and practiced and became proficient enough to really have fun with it. But Mendel was never satisfied with just learning for himself. He wanted to share his joy. Mendel wanted Yehuda to ride that unicycle more than Yehuda wanted to ride that unicycle. First night they spent 4 hours. Just one more try. Come on, one more try. Yehuda now rides with ease because of the encouragement and its infectious support. Mendel was a Halakha teacher too, because his patience was beyond norm. He never expected anyone to match his expertise, but he wanted you to enjoy it as much as he did. Slacklining. Slacklining is an activity akin to tightrope walking. You tighten up a strip of webbing between two trees, and you try and walk on it. It takes infinite patience to learn, but Mendel loved doing it, and he loved in creating the environment for others to learn too. He talked about failing forward. Mendel said that failures are not negative, but rather emphasize practicing falling, becoming comfortable with the inevitable stumbles that come when you try and learn new things. You need to be able to move through a lot of those failures to get anywhere worthwhile. Mendel's failing forward attitude, that's Halakha. It's definitely not the norm. And like all great teachers, Mendel was an incredible listener. He didn't feel compelled to be talking all the time. In fact, he listened so calmly and so deeply, he was even able to open up Zadie Goldbloom to share his war stories. Mendel soaked his feet in warm water and trimmed his toenails and massaged his feet, encouraging him to keep talking. Mendel had tremendous energy, strength, and endurance. Oftentimes, those qualities were scattered. But Mendel cherished his friends, and he made a lot of them, friends from all different walks of life. That's another Halakha part of Mendel in his life. One particular friend helped him focus that energy. Private First Class Yaakov Grossman. Yanka was focused on working hard and playing hard. And he'd call Mendel and he'd say, "Hey, how about we drive a truck to Florida? How about we get our emergency medical licenses? Hey, let's do a 13-mile Spartus obstacle course race." And the wildest of all, "Hey, how about we join the United States Marine Corps?" And every time Mendel would respond, "Yeah, sure." And off they went. When Mendel and Yankee arrived at boot camp, Mendel quickly distinguished himself as uniquely competent in physical fitness training. He was yelled at for doing somersaults after the platoon exhausted themselves doing push-ups. Mendel learned all the rules, the protocols, the drills, required knowledge ahead of everyone, and he was chosen to be a squad leader. In boot camp, there's 4 hats, 4 drill sergeants. Each one is assigned a platoon, and each has a particular assignment in educating the recruits. Each drill sergeant is chosen because they have trained and demonstrated their own expertise in this area of specialty. Yet, shortly into the training, Mendel was found suggesting that there were more accurate answers to the questions posed. And within a short order, recruits were quoting Mendel to the instructor that was known as the knowledge hat. And the knowledge hat had to repeatedly admit, and Mendel's correct. His squadron repeatedly won internal knowledge contests because Mendel taught them and encouraged them even during down times when not in specific training. Mendel was promoted before he even got out of boot camp. Through Mendel's humble leadership and encouragement, everyone around him became a better person. not by demand, not by coercion, but by example and unconditional loving encouragement. Mendel was a cut above the average, a light of calm in the storm, Halik in the Shama. And the living should take to heart. Maybe all take to heart and learn to be just a bit more Halik. Stand taller, step higher, stand out. Dare to be unique and different so that others will be encouraged to be all you can be. Semper Fidelis. We're going to have military honors. Just a moment.
This includes a funeral service here at the chapel. The interment will take place at Waldheim Cemetery. For those who will be driving with the family to the cemetery, we'll be lining up in our parking lot. We ask that you drive as close as safety permits to the vehicle in front of you and have your headlights and hazard lights on while in procession. At the conclusion of the interment, the family will be sitting Shiva at the Goldbloom residence, 6500 North Albany Avenue. Shachris every morning will be at 8 a.m. and Menachem will be at 5:40 p.m. and Marv at 6:20 p.m. The following individuals have been asked to act as pallbearers: Staff Sergeant Shnei Zalman Goldbloom, Yehuda Leib Goldbloom, Yossi Vitzke Goldbloom, Eliyahu Couple Goldbloom, Staff Sergeant Lobel, Private First Class Grossman. If we can all rise and have the pallbearers please come forward and remain standing as the casket leaves the chapel.